If you spend enough time around non-duality, you eventually hear the same claim repeated. There is no separate self. For most people, that statement stays entirely conceptual. It becomes a philosophy, an idea to hold, something to believe or argue about. But belief is not really the point. What non-duality is actually pointing toward is something far simpler and far more direct. Not adopt the belief that there is no self, but look carefully in direct experience and see whether a separate self can actually be found. That's a very different invitation. Because the claim isn't that nothing exists or that experience disappears. Clearly, something is happening right now. There are sounds, sensations, thoughts arising, emotions moving through. All of that can be noticed directly. But non-duality asks a different question. Can a separate me, a distinct observer standing apart from all of this, actually be found in the same direct way? There's a simple exercise sometimes used to explore this. Point your finger at something in the room, a chair, a wall, a lamp. There appears to be an object there and a person here looking at it. Now reverse the finger. Point it back towards your own face and notice something carefully. In direct visual experience right now, is a face actually seen there? Or is the face mostly known through memory, through mirrors, photographs, description? In immediate experience itself, there may simply be seeing, perception, experience happening. And yet thought quickly says, there I am. That assumption is rarely questioned. So the invitation is look more carefully, not at the idea of yourself, not at a memory or description, but in immediate experience itself right now. Can a separate observer actually be located? Or are there simply sensations, thoughts, perceptions arising on their own? This becomes even more interesting when you look at thought itself. Before your next thought appears, can you know in advance what it will be? And once it arrives, did you consciously create it? Or did it simply arise? Most of us carry a quiet assumption that there is a thinker behind thoughts, a self-controlling experience, an internal author running the show. But when thoughts are watched carefully, they often seem less like products of a controller and more like weather, simply appearing, moving through and dissolving. Even neuroscience has touched on this. Some experiments suggest that brain activity related to a physical action may begin before the conscious experience of deciding to act. Not proof of anything definitive, but a quiet challenge to the idea of a central separate entity consciously authoring every thought and movement. None of this is meant to become a new belief system. The invitation is simply to look, not philosophically, not theoretically, but directly in this moment. Can a separate self actually be found? Or is it perhaps more like a story, continually told, continually believed, but never quite located when you look for it directly? That is the question non-duality is asking. Thanks for listening.